Welcome back to the channel, folks. I am Matt. Hope you're all doing well. Now, there's a brand that I come across a lot. When I look at Blade HQ's website, I filter for pricing and certain, higher end steels. A brand called Geo Knife tends to come up a lot. And as someone that's been reviewing knives, those are the things that are interesting, those outliers. You expect a certain knife to be X price because it has this type of blade steel, this type of handle material, so on and so forth. And then you see an outlier that's pretty intriguing. So today we're going to take a closer look at Geo Knife, particularly their M390 knives here. And I want to figure out what's going on, because at first I'm like, well, they must not be heat treating their steel very well, right? That's what you would expect with something like this. But then you look at the Hardness Labs website, and the M390 knife, I think it was an ethereal cutter that they had tested, had a 61.2 HRC, which is the sweet spot when it comes to M390, and better than a lot of other knives out there that are hundreds of dollars more. So I've had this ethereal cutter for a while. I actually have two of them. This is the titanium version. It's a little bit more expensive. I think it's like in the $140 range or something. All these G10 versions are around 85 to 90 bucks. But I've had this one for a while. I also have the G10 version of the ethereal cutter, and it's been a fantastic knife. The crossbar lock action on it's been really, really nice. It's got a nice neutral handle shape. I have big hands, and I still get all four fingers on there. It does come in a drop point version or the clip point, Bowie version like this one. And I haven't used this titanium version as much as I've used my G10 version, but I will say the steel's been fantastic on it. It's had great edge retention. It's done exactly what you would think M390 would do when it's well heat treated. Build quality's really nice, perfect blade centering there. Nice pocket clip on this one. You do have a pivot ring as well that looks quite nice. It's a fancy looking knife that's, pretty well priced. But the G10 versions seem even better priced. So let's go through some of their newer models here. And I'll put links in the description for all of these. Using those links helps out the channel. It's much appreciated, no extra cost to you. And obviously, I always appreciate it if you give me a like, a subscribe, and all that good stuff. So this first one here is the Blaze. This one is a Tanto blade style. They have kind of that fine stone washing, sort of pearl type finish on their blades. Very, very aggressive looking Tanto for sure, if that's what you're into. Tip still looks pretty strong, thins out, quite a bit right there, but, that's part of having a Tanto is having a stronger tip. A lot of people like them for various reasons, whether it be self-defense or just having those two different edges, having a more aggressive knife. Obviously a little bit harder to sharpen, but on this style right here, because of just the way they did the grind here, you're going to be sharpening two edges, but I think it'll be a little bit easier than some other Tantos out there. Nice thick G10 scales on this. You do have standoffs there. A reversible pocket clip, as you can see. On the inside there, they only have half liners. So the liner comes to right around here, and then no liner for the rest of the knife. But it still feels very, very robust. This one has a little bit stronger spring than the others, but great crossbar lock action on it. And it feels like a pretty nice heavy-duty knife. I wouldn't call it, super hard use because it doesn't have liners that go all the way through. But as far as an EDC knife, if you're a Tanto fan, definitely one worth taking a look at. A nice sharpening choil right there. I think you'll get a lot of sharpening life out of this. Pretty standard looking thumb studs, but I find them to be pretty comfortable. I like how they have jimping on the blade and then it extends back here on the handle as well. I would have even liked it to go out just a little bit more, but this much jimping throughout here is fine for me. And like I said, I really dig their crossbar lock action. They have tighter springs if that's what you're going for. It gives you a lot of resistance, which I appreciate with a crossbar lock. You're looking at T8 hardware on the pivot, on the body screws, on the pocket clip screw. It's definitely a T6, so keep that in mind. Nice medium grip to it on this G10, I think, and the ergos feel good. Basically one position there that you're gonna have. You're not really gonna choke up much probably, but I have double XL gloves, fit on this handle really, really well, and definitely would be a great EDC knife. We'll do some measurements with all three, but let me get through them all. This one here is called the Komodo. Now, I love this blade shape. It's probably my favorite out of all of them. I have one con with this. I bought their titanium version of this quite some time back, and because of the way the handle is, see how it's shaped like that? I've complained about this before with crossbar lock knives. I snip my hand when I'm closing it. See that? So if you're the meat of your hand sticking like right in there, it'll slice your hand up. See how that works? We've seen this on other knives as well. If you're someone that doesn't have that problem, go for it. But for me, when I go to close it, I'll go like this and then snip my hand sometimes depending on the hand position I have. Let's see if I can do it without cutting. Yeah, I can if I'm really careful. But again, I don't think everyone runs into that issue. It's definitely something that I have problems with though. So there you have some jimping right there. A sheep's foot style blade, I would call that. I like this spot up here too to put your thumb. A high flat grind, I would call that. Gets fairly thin behind the edge. Very nice slicey blade shape. One spot to hold it. I can get all my fingers on this even though the handle's not as long as on the Blaze. And these all seem to be made fairly similarly with those, half liners there that come down to around right there. So great knife. I love it. I just would have used my other one a lot more if it wasn't one of those issues where I'm slicing my hand on the close. So I would have redesigned this handle a little bit. Next up, we have the Bellof. This is a smaller little knife, right? More of a 3-finger knife. See right there? And there's no choke up spot. I mean, kind of, but you'd really have to be careful. More of a 3-finger, smaller, but stubby little knife. Drop point blade shape, kind of a medium flat grind there. Very interesting blade shape, very stubby type of blade for sure. But if you like smaller pocket knives or you're in a place where, you can't have something that's over 2.5 inches or 3 inches, might be worth looking at for sure. Crossbar lock action. Great action, but a little bit, more challenging because it's smaller to flick out and to unlock. And again, I have big hands. It's definitely doable though, as you can see, and you'd get used to it. And I don't have a problem with this one snipping my hand at all. Another one with G10 standoffs, reversible pocket clip, and that half liner in there. I dig the blade shape on this though. Really nice for a little summer carry style knife for sure, or maybe you're like a Spyderco little native fan or something like that. This would be a good fit for knives like that. But interesting, how wide it is this way. So it still doesn't feel like a dainty little guy and feels like you could do, some serious cuts with it. And just one more time, there's the ethereal cutter. I think that this is their most popular model. They have this in G10 and the titanium for M390. They also have some S90V versions. Those ones do have an HRC that's a bit lower from the testing I've seen, in that 59.5 or so range, I believe. But with S90V, a lot of people are fine with that. That one seems to have a little bit bigger range when it comes to HRC. But really, with something like M390, you really want to get it in that like 61, 62-ish range to be its sweet spot. But I really like this thing. It's a fancier, looking knife. I love the texturing on the titanium here. Great action, and really like the way this one fits in my hand. Now, overall length on the ethereal cutter here, about 7 inches. The cutting edge is a little over 2 3/4, and the overall blade length is about 3 inches. So, that 3-inch EDC size that a lot of people like. Now, with the Bellof, I believe it's called, you're looking at about 6.5, maybe slightly over on the overall length. The blade cutting edge is about 2 1/8, and the overall length of the blade is like 2 3/8, we'll call it. With the Komodo, your blade length is about 2 7/8. Overall length of the blade about 3 1/8, a little bit more. Overall length of the whole thing, a little bit over 7 inches. And with the Blaze here, your cutting edge about 3 inches, the blade length, about 3 3/8, overall length of the knife about 7.5. Titanium ethereal, 3.3 ounces, not bad for a titanium 3-inch knife. With the Blaze here, we're looking at 2.9, which is really good for a knife of that size. With the Komodo, you got 2.75 ounces, and with the Bellof, you're looking at 2.6 ounces. Blade stock thickness on the Bellof, about 120 thousandths. The ethereal cutter's right around there as well. So is the Blaze, and so is the Komodo. So all around 120 thousandths. And for you metric folks, about 3 millimeters, a little bit over. So to wrap it up, there's not really, anything super crazy about these knives, right? You got G10 crossbar lock knives, or some come in titanium versions. They have some pretty cool styles. I think the ethereal cutter models are probably my favorite, but they're all good. The big thing here to me is pricing. You know, you have well heat treated M390 steel, some nice G10 scales, and you're looking at around 85 to 90 bucks with these things. And it goes up from there with the titanium. They also have some S90V ethereal cutters that are like PCTG plastic handles or some kind of material like that. And those are in that 80 to 90 range as well. And there's just not a lot of knives out there in this price range with this kind of super steel that's well heat treated and doesn't feel like garbage. So that's why Geo Knife really interests me. If it's something you're interested in, you want a super steel for under $100, and you know, you don't mind kind of the plain Jane sort of look of some of these with the G10, definitely worth it. The build quality is fantastic in my opinion. They're all very similar as far as the way the crossbar lock action feels, their consistency of build quality. They're all very well centered, and they have tons of different blade shapes. You know, like I said, my one biggest con is just with the Komodo here, because I wanted to like it so bad because I love that blade shape, and I just always cutting my hand when I'm opening and closing it unless I'm super duper careful. I'm going to be doing a video here soon on knives I would buy under $100. You know, I have a $100 budget. What would I go for? And Geo Knife models are definitely going to be in the mix there as far as best value for the money. So I think that's it, guys. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and check out one of my others. That about wraps it up. Until next time, thanks for watching.